Hi everyone, so it has been a crazy 24 hours. As you can probably tell, I'm not in the hospital, I'm back home. The surgery was cancelled very last minute. I was due to be taken into surgery at 10:30 this morning, and we only found out at 10 o'clock that it actually wasn't going to go ahead. I feel absolutely exhausted right now. So basically everything was going fine. We went there yesterday, and the first thing I had done, as you can see from my neck which is covered up, was that they put the filter in, which was quite an experience in itself, to be fair. It wasn't painful as such, but I got quite anxious beforehand. I actually got quite anxious from when we arrived at the hospital at 9 o'clock. I think actually getting there, it was kind of a realisation for me, and it was quite sort of nerve-wracking, and I could feel sort of the anxiety was building as we were waiting, so I was already kind of nervous. And then they had problems getting the cannula in. I mean, that's not really unusual for me, to be fair. My veins weren't fantastic to start with, and since I had chemo last year, they've just been terrible. So it took a couple of attempts to get the cannula in. So I'm a little bit kind of bruised up on my arm. I don't know if you can really see that. They managed to get in this side, which is that crease there, the only place they really managed to get in to get bloods or anything these days. So that was good. And then the actual procedure itself, they actually ended up giving me a little bit of drugs to just relax me a bit, because I wasn't like going crazy, but I was quite anxious, and obviously they could see that I was nervous. And I'm assuming, like, for that kind of procedure where they're cutting into the jugular vein and going to be putting things down there, you need to really be still and quite relaxed. So they just gave me something that wasn't very strong. The only thing I'd really say about that is to say there wasn't any pain. It was actually really quick. It only took sort of 10-15 minutes for them to actually put it in, and to be all finished. A couple of things: if you're claustrophobic, which I'm not normally, but the blue sheet they put over anyone that's having like surgery that sort of goes over the area, and then it was just a circular hole here, was actually laid over my face. And as I say, I'm normally not really bothered by things like that, but I think because I was already anxious, it was quite claustrophobic and a bit sort of scary. And there was a lot of people in the room as well. There was like more than 6 people in there. I'm not really sure why. So there was a lot of noise going on, and obviously once that was over my face, I couldn't see what was happening either, so that put my anxiety up again. But once they gave me a few drugs to calm me down, and as I say, within a few minutes it was really over. So that was fine, really. My neck has been really sore last night. I didn't realise how much you actually use your neck muscles, sort of getting up out of bed and pulling yourself around, and moving my neck to this side. I'm still kind of moving from the shoulder, which I'm sure is probably more in my head than actually being a pain. It's just soreness. But the hole, they said, will be absolutely tiny, so probably by tomorrow that would even like be healed. It's just like any kind of little cut that you would get that would just heal over quite quickly. So this probably looks a lot worse than it is underneath. It's probably minuscule. So that was that. So that's fine. Went for an echo. There was quite a lot of waiting around, as there always is in the hospital. So I was getting really tired. By the point we had the echo, which was in the afternoon, I think about 3 o'clock time. And obviously I'd had local anaesthetic here, so I don't know if that affected me and made me more tired, I'm not sure. I had the echo, and then the surgeon came round in the evening. And to be fair, the surgeon that's actually going to do my surgery, I have met with a few times before. But he was actually away a couple of weeks ago when it was decided that they were going to do surgery as my treatment option. So this was the first time I'd actually spoken to him face to face, this time around, and he gave us the news to say that actually on the scan, rather than the tumour being on the remaining ovary, it was actually sort of what he thinks. They don't know for sure until they actually go in and see. They think it's actually touching an ovarian cyst that I've got that they saw before, and that there actually could be a good chance, he thought, that they'd be able to take that tumour and the one above the bladder without actually doing the full hysterectomy, which was like crazy news to get after like a really full day, and I was kind of already quite exhausted, and that was like a real shock to hear that news because we didn't expect it, obviously. And he was saying, you know, until they go in, they won't know exactly if that will be the case, but we had to make a decision, myself and my husband, about whether we wanted them to really try and save that ovary, and only take it out if they really had to. So if the tumour was actually attached some other way to the womb or something like that. Which I think if someone said that to me before, I probably would have been like, yeah, straight away, let's like try and keep everything we can. But I think being thrown into the decision, and because I was getting the fear of the surgery, because this was literally the night before, I was sort of thinking, well, I'm going to go through this whole big surgery and this whole build-up and everything. Maybe this is the time that I should take it out, because then if I get another reoccurrence that comes back there again, am I going to really regret not taking the opportunity to just take it all out in one go? But then once we were on our own, and me and my husband were kind of talking about it, it didn't really take long for us to say, well, actually, if they've got a chance of saving it, then yeah, like, absolutely, we want them to try and save that. Obviously, if I have like any radiotherapy or chemotherapy or anything like that, then we still don't know if we were going to be able to have kids, and there's all sorts of complicated issues around that. But at least we would still have the chance. And also, obviously, it would mean that I wouldn't go straight into menopause, which in itself, for me, would cause quite a lot of issues. So that was kind of a massive curveball. So needless to say that I didn't really get much sleep last night. I had a terrible headache, but about 2 o'clock in the morning I did actually give in and take some paracetamols that the nurse gave me, and I think I probably managed to get to sleep about an hour after that, so I did get a few hours of sleep. But then at 8 o'clock this morning, the surgeon and the anaesthetist came back in and said that actually the echo that I'd had done the day before showed that there was actually blood clot, which they thought had been resolved. The last echo I had was in March, and that looked like it was pretty much clear, but actually from looking yesterday, it wasn't, which they didn't expect, and that it was really throwing their decision as to whether to go ahead with surgery or not. So they said they were going to go away and speak to my haematologist and my cardiologist to kind of get their opinions, and my main consultant as well. So we had kind of an anxious couple of hours wait until they came back about 10 o'clock and finally said that they decided they were not going to do the surgery because they just felt that the risks were too high, which I think because I built it up so much, I was actually kind of disappointed and frustrated because I kind of worked myself up thinking, right, this is it, like, it's going to happen now, and just hope I come through the other side and then hope for a good recovery. But to suddenly be told, oh, it's not even going to happen, well, yeah, it was like a big disappointment, really. Not that I'm looking forward to surgery, but basically, so where it's been left now is that now they're going to give it another couple of weeks, see if this clot can be resolved relatively quickly, because they've left the filter in. It can be left in for a maximum of 6 weeks, in the hope that if it does resolve, then they will then be able to go through with the surgery, which again obviously is still my first kind of hope for treatment, really, rather than radiotherapy or chemo. So yeah, it's just going to be a waiting game, really, which anyone out there who not just has this type of cancer, but I'm sure any cancers are quite similar, that this happens, like what I've experienced is quite a lot, where things can change at the last second or the last minute, and plans can change. Scans can obviously, like I had, throw up something different, which means that you change the plan. So it just adds to the whole kind of lifestyle of living with cancer, that you just are kind of living on a knife edge all the time, not knowing what is going to happen in that day, even if things have been planned for weeks in advance, and just having these big curveballs kind of thrown at you and needing to make like massive decisions. So although I was frustrated, I can't say I was like overly surprised, because I know that these things do change last minute. And I completely trust the surgeons and the team that I have, as well. That obviously they are the professionals, and they know what's going to be best in that sense, of obviously what the risk and reward is going to be of having that kind of surgery. So yeah, we're back home. I feel absolutely shattered, but at least I'm going to be sleeping in my own bed again tonight, so I know I'm going to get a good rest. And then tomorrow it's going to be booking appointments with haematologist, to discuss kind of what they want to do and check on what happens next. And then we're back to see the surgeon in a couple of weeks to really see what we can do from there. I have to say though, we also yesterday got some really worrying news from work, from my employer. I'm getting long-term sick pay at the moment from the insurance that I had through work, which is basically what we're living off. And I basically got told that there's going to be voluntary redundancies within my team, and I have no idea what that means for me at the moment. If that money gets cut off, we're basically probably going to go bankrupt, because that is the only money we have, and we've already had our house on the market for like over 3 months now. So that is going to be really weighing on my mind as well, because obviously the whole emotional side of what's happened over the last 24 hours, physically I feel tired, but also mentally, and then having like financial worries on top of that is not great. I've been really fortunate up till now that I did have good insurances through work, because otherwise we would have been in dire position like way before this, because I've been off work since February last year, so it's been like nearly a year and a half now, that I've not been able to work. But again, obviously I don't know what's going to happen, so we're hoping to hear something more about that before the end of the week, so that's going to be another anxious wait. So I know I will sleep better tonight, being at home, and maybe after a good night's rest I'll probably feel better tomorrow as well, because I'm not really feeling that great in myself, and physically and mentally, as I said, just really tired. So just got to take each day as it comes, or each part of each day if it comes, actually, and then just kind of react as we get news and just go with it, and try not to overthink things too much, and just try and go from there. So yeah, a pretty crazy time over the last couple of days. So I will hopefully hear about the financial side first, as I say, before the end of this week, and then I'll probably do an update once I know when my meetings are going to be with my haematologist and cardiologist. I'll probably wait and see what the results of those meetings are, and then update you guys as to what's happening. So yeah, I will speak to you soon. Bye.